Good evening and welcome to our special show, Warnings Ignored. Now the blood is still drying on the pavements in Varanasi and the families of the dead and wounded must be asking one question. Why is India the only country in the world to keep suffering such terrorist attacks? After the sheer shock of 9/11, the US has not had another terrorist attack. Neither has the UK or Spain, which also faced Al-Qaeda attacks just after 9/11. But why in India do the bombings just keep continuing and our people keep dying? Now this time, after the attacks in Varanasi, the central government is blaming the Mayawati government. The BJP is blaming the Congress, and Mayawati has turned the blame back on the central government, and so we've come full circle, but without any answers, only blame. Now, as NEWSX has been telling you all through the day, the Varanasi attack happened despite the fact that two captured terrorists, David Headley and a terrorist called Shahzad, told us the attacks in Varanasi would occur almost certainly. So is this a massive intelligence failure? Are all Indians just sitting ducks for terrorists? That's what we'll ask our guest tonight. Joginder Singh, the former director of the CBI, is with us from Delhi. Also P.L. Punya, the Congress MP from Uttar Pradesh, is joining us from our Lucknow studios. And with me in the studio is the BSP's Nawab Kazim Ali Khan. Let me start with you, Mr. Khan. The central government, specifically the Home Minister Chidambaram, has said that he gave your government adequate, detailed warning on the attacks and still your government allowed them to occur.
Well, the fact is that there was a general advisory note sent by the Union government to the UP government in February. And
February 25th.
February.
This was after the terrorist Shahzad was interrogated on February 1st.
Yes.
And based on his interrogation on February 25th, you received a fax, but you're saying it was general.
Yeah, it was a very general advisory note, not nothing specific as to if there was a chance of an attack, would it be on a festival, would it be on a specific date, but it was a general advisory note. And subsequent to that, Chief Minister Mayawati ji held several meetings with the top bureaucrats and intelligence officials. And like for instance, the Ganga Dashera, the UP government had made proper arrangements, security arrangements. On 26/11, they had made arrangements.
But you're saying that the information was not specific enough and it was all the way in February, and you had no way of applying that to December when the attack happened.
I mean, they made the UP...
Let me interrupt you for a second, because we've put together a package based on this point. Our reporter Tavleen was out there and she was looking at this issue. She was also looking at the interrogation records of David Coleman Headley, and he also warned that an attack on Varanasi and such places were almost certain. Take a look at this report.
The deadly blast at Varanasi's Dashaswamet could have been avoided. Pak-American double agent David Headley had warned that Varanasi was on the terror radar. A fact stated in the interrogation report of Headley, which was conducted in June this year by the NIA. This is not all. Sources also tell us that Shahzad, key accused in the Delhi serial blast case of 2008, had told his interrogators that Dashaswamet Ghat was one of future terror targets. This information was given in February this year. But as always, when it came to accountability, it was the typical political blame game.
As far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, a specific advice was given on the 25th of February 2010 that the Dashaswamet Ghat was one of the targets.
I repeat, there was no specific actionable intelligence input. The last input regarding the Dashaswamet Ghat, as mentioned to you earlier, I won't go into the details of those cables, they are with me, but was on 25th of February.
Political bickering and selective, glaring omission of important inputs, all of which led to the death of this innocent little one, Swastika Sharma. And who is answerable to her parents?
The intelligence agencies had specific inputs about Varanasi being on the terror radar since February this year. The question is the Varanasi blast a serious intelligence failure? The centre says that the UP police was informed in time. But is the blame game an easy argument? The government now needs to answer some very serious questions. This is Tavleen Singh in Delhi for NEWSX.
All right. That was the package that underlined this key date, February 25th. Right now, that's the date everyone's bickering over. And we'll also come in a short while of the show as to, apart from the bickering, what action was taken. But the government, central government says, Mr. Punya, you must be having divided loyalties here. As someone from Uttar Pradesh, you must be shocked and angry that the attack took place in Varanasi. But as a congressman, do you blame the central government for giving its last so-called specific advisory all the way back in February, when the attacks took place in December?
You see, the incident that occurred in Varanasi is very unfortunate, and we should not try to politicize the whole issue. As you are aware, law and order, the police is a state subject. Maintenance of law and order is a state subject. And whenever and wherever the central government gets any intelligence input, that is transferred and provided to the state government. This is also a fact. And that happened in this case. It is the responsibility of the state government. It is the responsibility of state UP government's intelligence, because they also have a wide network. You can expect from the central government or the intelligence bureau the broad intelligence that can be provided to the state government.
Okay, let's take your point and let's hold it at that point, Mr. Punya, because we have with us Mr. Jogendar Singh, the previous head of the CBI. Mr. Jogendar Singh, let me ask you the question. If you got on February the 25th the facts that the UP government got, would you define that as specific intelligence that an attack could take place at that ghat in December? Do you think that's been a fair characterization of the information?
No, I think one thing I must say here, I totally agree with Mr. Punya that we should not politicize the entire thing. But having said that, I would say here intelligence is one where you can take action in 1 day, 2 days, to 1 month, maximum maybe another 10 days or so. Something told to you in February, you might have told something in 1947, this will happen. It doesn't hold good. Secondly, I must say here, this is Mr. Chidambaram himself admitted after 26/11 attack, and he said, I am quoting him, you see, this is a normal thing which happens because intelligence agencies try to put blame. They give you all possible topics. Let us say in a place like Delhi, they will say attack is possible on the airport, it's possible on the bus stand, it's possible in Connaught Place, it is possible in Sarojinagar Market, it is possible in NEWSX studio in
oh, please don't say that,
Noida.
Sir.
No, I am saying here.
Yeah, but I get your point. You're saying is that they put so much information out there just to cover their backs.
That's not possible. No, I'll please allow me to quote Mr. Chidambaram. When he was asked about failure of intelligence, he said, I agree that there has been failure on the part of the security force intelligence. Undoubtedly there have been lapses. I'll be less than truthful if I say that there are no lapses here. I think this is a time to act together, and I have been both in the central and state government here. Central agencies do not send actionable intelligence. I will quote an officer who himself was the head of the intelligence bureau and who was heading SPG. He later on became a governor of state. He said, sir, I can tell you I was fed up with the IB.
Okay.
On 14th August, in the night they would send a night rider.
Okay.
A person who is 5 feet 9 inches with black eyes, mixed type of hair is likely to
So you're saying, Mr. Jogendar Singh, that basically the intelligence agencies put out very vague, unspecific information, but information that they can use to defend themselves and protect their reputation when something wrong happens.
Time is to get together and find a solution.
Okay.
And secondly, allow me half a minute more
yes,
also.
Sir. Yes, sir.
You see, there is no specific law. The Home Ministry, I have to compliment Mr. Chidambaram, brought forth a paper to the cabinet in which he said the terrorism is increasing and we must put the onus on the particular person.
Okay.
If intelligence is there, that he has to prove that he is not a terrorist. Cabinet turned it down on the ground, saying it will lead to misused by the police forces, they didn't approve toughening of the laws.
Okay.
Now, there is a difference between intelligence and evidence.
Okay.
You may have the intelligence, but where do you get intelligence? Because nobody is willing to waste his time in the courts.
Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, let's keep aside the politicizing. I agree with you. Really, Mr. Chidambaram has made that one comment about February 25th. Even if we disregard that, he has, as you said, clearly been mature and accepted some of the shortcomings that led to this attack. And that's the key point. The constant shortcomings in our intelligence and our ability to counter terrorism. As I was saying earlier in the introduction, almost every country has brought the terror attacks they face down. They only seem to be going up in India. We held an online poll and we asked whether India's stance on tackling terror is being proactive enough and whether Indians are satisfied or living in fear. And here's what people said, that no, we are not being, 56% of people said India is not being proactive in counting terror threats. Isn't this the problem, Mr. Khan, when you look at Uttar Pradesh, a state where there's so much scope for problems and terror attacks? The police in your state or even any other simply has not developed the intelligence gathering. It has not developed the force training, the equipment to deal with terror, and these guys are striking at will.
But you know that for a fact that terrorists have very highly technical and advanced weapons.
That's not true. They seem to be putting small bombs with ammonium nitrate into food, milk containers and blowing up people.
Exactly. So they have all this, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack, basically. But the UP
that's the
government,
same for every other country. How has every other country been able to find the needles?
But the UP government has done a great deal in trying to control it, if not to lessen it, but it has tried to control it as much as they could. All the information that comes from the intelligence is from the union government.
The state has not developed its own intelligence?
The fact is that most of the interrogation is done by the agencies in the central government. They know all the details of the interrogations, and
you're going back to putting all the pressure on the center. Even Mayawati said that it's our borders are porous. No, I'm saying is all that is true, and that won't change overnight. But UP has not developed any intelligence capacity for its own police. It has not equipped the police any differently. In fact, Mayawati said the police combed the area in Varanasi at 5 p.m. but then left it and handed the security of that area over to the priests.
Well, religious shrines, they get a little sensitive, at the time of festival especially. The police has to maintain a certain kind of a balance. With the people of that particular religion, because they don't want to interfere in the religious rights. So
I get your point, but we have to take a quick break. What you're saying is that you were trying your best, but you have too many constraints, basically, whether they're social, religious, or even financial. But we'll come back and talk more about this and ask that in this case, how is India ever going to be able to counter the increasing terror that it faces? Don't go, we'll be right back, and when we come back, we'll be taking your calls.
Sayın Nakvi.